Gnomes were introduced in patch 8. They are the newest race, in fact the only new race we've had since the beginning of early access. There are 3 sub-races of gnomes. We start with the Forest Gnome, Deep Gnome and Rock Gnome. Now before we look at the differences, let's look at what all gnomes have in common. So the base speed is 25 feet. This is because they are a small race, a bit like halflings. Dwarves also have 25 feet, so some of the shorter races do have a lower movement speed, which is a drawback. It doesn't always matter, but there are times, being a shorter race, where I just wish I could move that tiny bit further. All the gnome sub-races get intelligence plus 2. This is one of the few, in fact maybe only race that gets intelligence plus 2, because high elves get +1, tieflings can get +1, Githyanki have +1, but gnomes are the only one that have +2. Half elves you can make +1 as well. The ideal candidate for a class for a gnome would, I think, obviously be a wizard, since their intelligence is used as the casting modifier. But don't forget that we do have eldritch knights and arcane tricksters available to us. Those are subclasses of fighters and rogues respectively. We don't get those until level 3 though. And I think this is probably the strongest part of the gnome race, gnome cunning. You have advantage on intelligence, wisdom and charisma saving throws. I would honestly be happy with wisdom saving throws alone. The fact we get intelligence and charisma added on top is just a small bonus. Wisdom saving throws are used to defend against spells quite often that control your character, maybe like Old Person, Tasha's Hideous Laughter, things that frighten you, lots and lots of stuff that are really, really annoying when they happen. So the fact any and every gnome, just to show you all of them get this gnome cunning, is a massive, massive benefit of gnomes. Alright, let's look at the individual ones. Let's start with the Forest Gnome, since that's the first one to pop up. Their other ability bonus is to dexterity, a +1, which is nice because pretty much every class wants some dexterity at least. So you could make a Forest Gnome potentially into any class, but with intelligence being the attribute that has a +2, that does mean if you're going to pick something like a sorcerer, you're going to be limited to 15 charisma, which is a bit of a downside. They get dark vision. In fact, all gnomes get some form of dark vision. That could almost be put up above, but one of the sub-races actually has superior dark vision. So that's good. You don't have to worry about light. I do like that. I like having dark vision. And then we also get speak with animals. You can use it. It doesn't use a spell slot, doesn't require concentration. Once you finish a long rest, just cast it and you've got it until the next long rest. This is a nice kind of secondary feature of forest gnomes, and I think it's good. It's a nice way to get speak with animals, because otherwise you have to pick it as a spell, or maybe pick up a potion from Volo would be quite a common choice. Right, next up are deep gnomes. Just like the forest gnomes, they get dexterity +1. So what I just said about forest gnomes applies here also. They get superior dark vision, just like Drow do. So they have dark vision up to 80 feet, which is really far. So if you want to use any ranged attack, there should be no disadvantage because they are in the dark. And then they get stone camouflage. I think this is really quite cool, that you get advantage on stealth checks. So that would be, so you can maybe link this with a rogue. In fact, deep gnomes would make brilliant rogues because of this extra dexterity and the fact we have advantage on stealth checks, and rogues can then get expertise. We've already got it here, sleight of hand and stealth. So right from the offset, right from the beginning, we have a +7 to stealth. That's without guidance or any inspiration or any other buffs to stealth. +7 from level 1, which is absolutely amazing. So yeah, I like the idea of deep gnomes. Then we come to rock gnomes. They also get dark vision. They're +1. The ability that get +1 to is Constitution, a little bit like Dexterity. Everybody wants some Constitution. You don't want to have a character with a low Constitution, so this is good. But no class, apart from maybe Barbarians, use Constitution apart from for hit points and Constitution saving throws, whereas Barbarians can get extra armor class with a higher Constitution. And then they get Artificer's Law, so add twice your proficiency bonus to history checks, which is essentially expertise. I'm a bit about that, not so impressed, because history checks, they do come up. It's not as if there were no history checks whatsoever, but there aren't very many that seem that important from what I remember. But it is what it is. We can't really do much about that. Can't change it. There's no alternative. So for me, I probably wouldn't pick rock gnomes very often. I would much more likely pick either forest or deep gnomes, because I think their other abilities are applicable to more classes. Just want to go back to the gnome cunning and going back to the wisdom. If you pick a class that has proficiency in wisdom saving throws, then you should be fairly safe against spells that they have to roll a wisdom saving throw. Now, let's just go through them all. Clerics get wisdom saving throw proficiency, although saying that it would be good to pick a class that gets wisdom saving throw proficiency. Gnomes don't get any bonus to wisdom, so you're going to be stuck at 15 wisdom maximum at level 1. Druids are the same, they have wisdom saving throw proficiency, and it's quite nice that wizards also get wisdom saving throw proficiency. which means not only do you get the +2 intelligence from being a gnome, you also kind of get advantage on your wisdom saving throw, which is absolutely amazing. Now, say you're a class, let's say a druid, no, let's say a rogue, who doesn't have wisdom saving throw proficiency, that you are proficient with light armor. There is one specific magic item that can really boost your wisdom saving throws. So I have a rock gnome here, who is a bard, Tavril Tavine. Her wisdom is 10, but she does have advantage on wisdom saving throws. So I'm going to use Borislav Stavov here, who has a charisma of 20, with potentially the highest spell DC we can get in the game. So if I was to try and cast Dissonant Whispers, there'd be a 49% success rate, even though Tavril Tavine's wisdom is a very, very basic 10. Now, the reason I'm here is just over here, near the Festering Cove, where you find the Kuratoa. Jump across here, come down here, and we find this skeleton. We find the Helmet of Autonomy, which gives her proficiency in wisdom saving throws. Let's equip that. Bards are proficient in light armor, which is why she can do this. Let's just jump back to Borislav. And if we try and use Dissonant Whispers now, there's no way that's still 49%. Well, let's see. I do believe that this 49% should have changed. So she did have advantage, as we can see. For some reason it did -2 and +2. Don't know if that's a bug. Let me take the helmet off. This isn't going as planned whatsoever. I think it's good to show these things happening. So we're going to try again. It says 49%. And this time it rolled it with advantage. So yeah, that's a bit strange. It looks like the Helmet of Autonomy isn't working. That isn't what this video was supposed to be about. So I've just re-equipped it, and it's still 49%. I will try that on Borislav himself, actually. So I should try Dissonant Whispers. Will be 55%. And then if Borislav equips this helmet, still 55. So it looks like the Helmet of Autonomy is doing -2 and +2. Let's just pause it again. His wisdom is supposed to be +1, but for some reason it's given +2 from proficiency, which is fine, and then -1. That to me cannot be explained, at least not right now.
Still alive.
After recording the previous section, I went and sent a bug report to Larian, and they responded very quickly, even though I did get an automated response saying it could take some time. I was told that they've already sent this to the developer, to the designer, and it's going to be looked at. So, yeah, I guess it's a not well-known, I guess it's a gnome problem. A gnome problem. So don't use the Helmet of Autonomy for now. It seems like it's bugged and doesn't work, sadly. Just let me know what characters you'll make with gnomes. Whether you like gnomes, I know some people in D&D just kind of hate gnomes and the idea of them. I don't really know why. I don't really know why. If you made it this far, please consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.